Okay, so I've been putting this off. For those of you that know me, hi, I've missed you. I've been missing an action for a while, which had a purpose. Thank God. I'm not gonna make. I actually don't know how long this video is gonna be. I'm just gonna kind of wing it, kind of like how I do everything else, you know. And what this is really for is to kind of reach out to anybody that's struggling right now, that maybe feels like the world is against you. That any which way that you turn, you feel pressed or pinched or backed into a corner. Like Murphy's Law and Ashton Kutcher, you know, from where he jumps out the bushes and says you're being punked at a baby, you know. I've been calling it Ashton Murphy, so thank you for that inspiration. You know, I've gone through, for those of you that have met me and know me, or have known me at different points in my life, because I've known a lot of different people, and a lot more have known me, is what I'm coming to find out. And I've lived so many different like lifestyles, right? Which has been like a source of I guess you could say has been a blessing and a curse. There's this programming, right? You know, from childhood, from society and the environment, being put in different situations that cultivated a certain personality type, or tried to. You know, it didn't break me completely. It did break me open, which was the whole point. So if you feel like maybe you have no hope right now and that things aren't going in your favor, I urge you to take a look around and see what kind of choices you're making, to grant yourself grace, and really just examine your whole entire life, like every part of it. I know for me personally, when things got pretty dark, let's see, back in 2021, I got really sick. I'm not going to say that it was a result of any thing necessarily, because I'm still being revealed different things. I will say that it was during COVID, right after, about 3 months after receiving both vaccines. Not saying that that is what caused anything. Maybe it's what saved me. I don't know exactly. I'm excited to learn more. Curiosity like a cat. That's probably why they're considered spiritual beings, because they have so many lives, right? Satisfaction brought it back kind of thing. I've been really resistant to open up. So reflecting on that is because when I was a child and I went to a place where I was taught to go inward and to talk myself through things, and to shut things out, like isolation, right? um, which may have been meant for bad, because when people are isolated and they have no connection and they're spread all over and they don't trust people and they're afraid and they're oppressed and they're, put under the thumb. And it's like there's this force that comes from all angles, right? And I understand words are really important here, so I'm not going to overthink it. So back in 2021, and my life started coming down around me, and everything that I thought that I knew, I had to kind of throw out the window, right? And really, go internal, and I shut everybody out of my life. And if that was you, and that I have love for you, it wasn't personal. Like, it wasn't personal, it was everybody. I shut everybody out of my life because nothing made sense to me anymore. And there was I didn't realize then what I know now is that there are some forces at work in this world that are created to block people in and take their mind and cause depression and addiction, and where we're constantly looking. I mean, it's human nature to survive, right? And when you are pushed and pressed, you're going to look for some kind of release, some kind of connection with something, which unfortunately, that's how many people are out there homeless that can't hold a job, that can't, like they're in depression and they're using, and, because they're searching for something. And what I've come to find out is that although the world may be, has been made like that, it doesn't have to remain that way. So what happened in 2021, where, the house, I became allergic to everything, developed these crazy symptoms, where basically I was going into anaphylactic shock every day, right? So what happens then is your body, like this nervous response in your body, like it's just, when your body is under attack from whatever it may be, you go into fight or flight mode, which means, well, then you're a soldier at war. So the social niceties, or however you say that, don't really matter anymore. And nothing feels safe, so that you put these walls up around you, right? That's what I did. I shut everything out. And I've continued to do that for a couple of years now. I moved to from Missouri. I left my home and everything in it, and moved out here to California because I felt led to. It was actually the last place on the list where I was going to move to because there's too many people. It's all people-y and stuff. And when I'm in a situation like that, like I'm hypervigilant automatically because of different situations from my younger years. That's just how I am. Or how I was. I've had to reinvent myself, and thank God I was able to do that. But the relationships, the kids, the this, that, and the other, all the things, it's like the country song where you're losing everything, and what can go wrong will, and even things that I was really good at just wouldn't work. My technology quit working, the car, the phone, that, even the job that I was really good at, I just couldn't even focus on it anymore. I started making bad choices. I could convince myself that because I was separated from my tribe of people that I'd made connections with because I didn't trust anything anymore. Because of pain and fear and anger and resentment, right? And what that did is it opened me up to forces in the world that are very chaos theory driven. There's good and bad in the world. And unfortunately, if you are leading from a place of fear or anger or resentment, then you're not actually in control. And you're not even aware of the choices that you're making because it's not even you that's doing it necessarily. We all have free will. It's what's filling, are you filled with when we're acting in love and compassion and empathy and connection but boundaries, right? Because while some people that go through abusive situations or things meant to break you, a lot of times what could happen is you can become the abuser. And I'd like to think that those people still have hope, right? Because I've been a lot of things. I've done things that I'm not proud of, made choices that I'm not a sum of all the things that I've done, especially when in a low vibrational state of oppression. So I moved out here and rented a room, and I connected with nature, thank God. And then I moved to a place that's a little bit more lower class, if you will. Kind of felt like a human experiment. I got really sick as soon as I moved here. And it continued to get worse. I was going through a lot of things in my body and my mind and my soul, like, that didn't make any sense to me. I questioned everything that I ever thought that I knew about anything. I got to the point where I felt like I was on my deathbed. And very well could have been. I'm grateful for the fact that I have a resilient heart and I'm super stubborn. And when it got bad enough and I took a look around, I was able to cut off things that had a negative energy. Even people that I love and care for that I don't believe are acting out of a place of evil intent. I believe that a lot of people are operating from fear. And unfortunately, that opens them up to different powers that don't have the best of intentions. They're just blind to it. After getting to the point where basically I'm in a bed, in a room, locked in my own mind, and barely breathing, surviving. I finally hit my knees and prayed. I prayed. I remember being in anguish, wondering why. Although I did push everybody out because I didn't trust anything anymore. And it was this whole environment that was cultivated to create that. Like a negative charge being put out by the environment. Maybe, And once I started clearing some of the things out, say like relationships that were controlling and overbearing or toxic, even though that gutted me, because my programming tells me that that's betrayal and that I'm going to ride till the wheels fall off. Well, thank God, with all the situations I've been through, I have preferences today. Like, I have questions like, where are we going? What are we going to eat when we get there? What kind of car is it? Am I going to be driving? And so I was able to clear a lot of that out. And through the power of connecting, not connecting because I've always gone, I've always done things and operated from kind of a flow standpoint of a connection that I didn't quite understand, nor could I put into words. And when everything was stripped away, all materials, relationships, my mind, when I finally was willing to give up and go with my inner guidance, even though it was in a midst of anguish and terror, I was able to get the strength, right, to get out of it and to reclaim my own power and to quit giving it towards things that have not the best of intentions. The dark night of the soul, so to speak. So now, here I am, right? I just walked 15. My phone says, and I just got this phone, so I don't even know, it may be more than that, because I've been doing these walkabouts with God and just really connecting with this power that saved my life, literally, and the earth, like nature. And then connecting with people that I'm starting to reconnect with people that have good energy and want the best, that aren't led by money and power and greed, but that really just are able to pour from an already full cup so that there's no motive. I've learned how to reclaim my own power so that I could learn how to do the same. A lot of it's inner guidance. I've utilized other things as well. A lot of walks in nature. 15 miles in June is what my phone says. And I couldn't even get out of bed. I also had a hard time even forming words. Like, I could see the word. I was like waiting in line for myself, and I couldn't even formulate the freaking words. And I love words. I like poetry. I like music. I love people. And all those things. I couldn't even trust myself anymore. I remember going outside in the sunshine and feeling raindrops on my skin. So I'm questioning myself, my own sanity, right? I think you should question yourself, of course. More people should question themselves. But now, even without proof, following that inner guidance, the journey within, I've been able to free my mind. My body is healed in a miraculous amount of time without doctor's help. I'm not saying that the doctor's help isn't good, but there are so many systems in place right now currently that are meant to oppress people and keep them there. That's the whole purpose of it. And so my goal with making this video is to open up and to let you know if you feel that way. If you feel like the world's stacked against you. If you feel like that it doesn't really matter anyways, right? And that you can't trust people and that all these things. A lot of those things weren't even my thoughts. They were projected onto me. But through clearing, out the extra distractions, I've been able to trust myself again. I mean, I've made it through all the things that have been made to kill me. And I'm pretty cool. And I love myself, thank God, because I've tried to lose myself so many times, and I'm kind of like a cockroach. And I used to say that, surviving bombs, and I should glow in the dark already. Well, I kind of do glow in the dark now. Um, the light, which is good. It's great. And I'm not entirely sure what direction I'm headed, except for that I'm focused on letting love lead with the language of empathy, with compassion, but with the sword of the truth to protect my energy and those that are properly aligned, to create an environment that we can thrive in instead of just barely surviving. Because when you're barely surviving and you don't even have your basics met, it's almost impossible. Almost impossible. But thank God for a resilient heart. Because when I hit my knees, God took over. He was already in charge. I mean, all this, the things that were formulated and created to, I now can see looking back, or maybe I already knew, right? That there's a purpose behind it. I was meant to go to these places. Some of the most beautiful people I've ever met have been the people that other people wouldn't take the time to even look at. They don't even listen to them. They think that they're better than, because they don't have the proof to show them. When being alive is proof enough. I can feel now, other people and their motive. I can listen to my body. My body tells me. It's a good thermometer, if you will. I can, through these different experiences that I've gone through my whole life, maybe what was meant for bad ended up being a divine purpose, right? Because now I have an awareness that I can help share with other people so that their minds can be unlocked, their hearts can be set free, so that they're not under the thumb of the manipulation and lies and anger and separation and division and, like color and religions and blah, 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 separation, separation, separation. When really it's about but how you live in though. What's your moral fiber? What are you putting out into the world? Because what goes around comes around. There's no lying to God. It doesn't matter if you pretty up the outside or if you sing a cool song or, all these things, because this world right now that we have been in that's going to change if enough people come together to create a wave. Realize that the only control that they have is when we're in a place of fear. So if I'm acting out, because it doesn't have power unless you're in fear and anger and resentment. Doesn't mean bad things aren't going to happen to you. Doesn't mean that you're not going to act out, because trust me, you probably already know I could have a real short fuse. And there is a righteous anger. So it's not all love, light, and healing, because it's protected with the sword of truth, which, because love, light, and healing, it could look so different, right? I've walked through some dark things that very well looked so much like an ending. And it was a death, like a death that gave me life while I'm still alive. Thank God for that. But there's a lot of people I've known that haven't made it. They were boxed in so hard and felt so disconnected that it broke them. So this is in tribute to those people, to all the people that are still suffering, that are in these, lower class communities that are just forgotten, discarded like trash, and then not having access to clean water so that their bodies are filled with toxin, so that their environment that they're in is toxic. The materials that are being used, the air that we're breathing, these different situations that have been cultivated to oppress or to pinch, to cut off. But it just reminds me of that one movie. What was that movie? It was called Labyrinth, right? I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's with David Bowie. And I try to picture this anytime I get really angry. Is when he, at the end, he's holding the crystal ball and he says, "You have no power over me." Like, I don't want the keys to my serenity in somebody else's pocket. I'm done with that. I'm not standing for that anymore. What I'm standing for is love. And to stand up for those that don't have a voice. Whether it be animals or children or anybody that is just barely holding on, like hope. Hold on, pain ends. But look up. Because it's the inward journey that's going to carry you forward. Because when I had everything stripped away, and I've had it stripped away more than... I'm a very stubborn person. Thank God for that, too. Because not only do I have a wider perspective, like the eye of an eagle, but I've also walked some really dark paths. Because as a person that I've heard say on one of the many podcasts that I've watched so many different things, and I've absorbed information from so many different places, and I appreciate everybody. After this whole isolation thing, let me finish the other thought first, was that it wasn't like me walking through all those shadows and the darkness. It's about harnessing that. Because it's not about not being capable of retribution by force. It's choosing not to, unless it's absolutely necessary. But leading with love, with the language of empathy that crosses all borders. Right? But to protect it with the sword of the Spirit. And there's no lying to that. It doesn't matter how much you dress it up. It doesn't matter how much money you have, what businesses you have. What you put into this world is going to come back tenfold. So if you're not in alignment, it's time. It's a personal journey. Nobody can do it for you. But you won't do it alone when you start. You just take the first step. And then God and all his angels surround you, God's people. They rise up. Because the soldiers in God's army, they're stronger than anything. It surpasses everything from out of this world. So to all the people that, the music, I love music. I love people. I usually see the good in them. I probably shouldn't. Or I make connections super fast. And then I'm always like so broken when I'm disappointed. That's why I separated myself, is because I didn't know if I was going to lose faith in all humanity. If I had one more disappointment. Because it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me. It wasn't supposed to, because if you spot it, you got it, right? Usually when I'm over the top, it's in defense of something. And I'm going to stand 10 toes down whether I want to or not. Because honestly, it would be real convenient at times for me, like in the moment, to not stand on certain things. But thank God that I'm going to do it anyways. So, to all the people that have helped, even if it was bad, a bad relationship, or, all these different past relationships that I've had, I don't wish bad on anybody. I love, like, every single person I've come in contact with. There's not every single person, that would be a lie. Okay, there's people that really just, like, but most, like, I see you. It's not about being perfect. It's just about rising up. Like, rise to the occasion. Like, there's this stories, and it's like, I got these rocks. I love rocks. I love them. And I've got, like, this Bible right here. It's actually a gift from my daughter. I've got some things I found. I've been on this treasure hunt and this walkabouts with God, and completely being led by animals and people, but also misled by things too, so many times. But through that whole thing, I've been able to cultivate a lot of inner wisdom and strength. That's a divine connection. That's a gift. And freedom is not free. But it is possible. And I'm excited for that. I'm ready for that. I see some adventure coming up. I'm already on an adventure anyways. I kind of do this whole, like some people see red flags and they run away. I guess it's kind of like firefighters, right? Like most people are running out. I'm usually the one running in, and because I'm curious or because I just do. A lot of times I don't even know what I'm doing next. I just know that I have faith and I trust without proof. And that right there is enough for me, because I do have proof. Because I was on my deathbed. And I'm not dead. I'm healed now. And not through any doctor. Or because somebody came and rescued me. It's because I connected with the power that could give me the power to rise up. But everybody gets a choice. I'm going to open up more. And, yeah, if you know me, I love you. It was never a lack of love on my part. But I also love myself, and I also love the direction that I'm heading and the purpose that I have. And some promise, the promise that I made to myself and to God was that I was going to find purpose in the pain. And I have. So, focus on God, align, rise up. And the next thing you know, you'll be in a different world. It's like the biggest blessing ever. Because even without like physical proof, even without all that, it's worth it. And I'd do it again. Even through all the anguish and the loss and all those things. Because what I have right now, this inner resilience that isn't dependent on people's expectations, like people, want to do this, the romantic gestures. Listen, I isolated myself and compartmentalized so freaking hard, right? That now when people like show me a little bit of attention, it's like, oh, because it wasn't ever a lack of love on my part. And what I'm realizing is that that God like pours out love to me through other people, and what I'm recognizing isn't what the twisted up thing in my mind, because my twisted up mind will distort things, right? And I'm like, oh wow, they, like, what are they trying to do here? Oh gosh, this must be love and blah, 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 all these things and confusion and chaos, right? Which is not a good idea, but it's totally there. That's kind of part of it. It's programming from our society. It doesn't mean like it's agape love, like it's intimacy can stand for into me I see. So it's God, like you're seeing the love. If you see love, like it doesn't have to be like a romantic thing. It doesn't mean it's not. But I know for me personally, like if you have romantic inclinations towards me, that's cool, great. I'm gonna walk with God and know that God has somebody for me that was made just for me. Or maybe not. And that's okay too. And what I'm trying to do is to, cultivate these new things that I have going on, and learning more about myself. I keep, like, I'm the more time I take to, like, do this inward journey, the more I'm discovering and the more power that I am getting. And that's beautiful. And that's what I'm doing. It's not about, I didn't even, it's not about, I'm very competitive, right? Anything you could do, I could do better, kind of thing. But it's not even like that. It's not about money. If it was about being rich, I've been rich a long time ago. I could have said yes to somebody a long time ago, I'm sure. But, I also have a hard time accepting things and allowing things. And because I always felt vulnerable, like they had the upper hand. But when God's people give, they give graciously. And if it's not given graciously, then I'm not going to accept it because it wasn't meant for me if it's not given graciously. And I'm going to let God lead me. So, love, light, and healing to all. And that can look so different in so many different ways. But that's all I have for now. I felt led to, connect with all my peoples. And thank you so much. If you've poured anything into me, even if it wasn't with the best of intentions, you could change too. It's your choice. You could have, Saul the Paul story. Love you guys.